Good morning, and welcome to your daily briefing from the 10 Point, the Wall Street Journal's guided tour of the stories shaping business, politics, and culture. I'm your host, and today is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. We've got a packed edition today, from the fragile foundations of the AI-driven economic boom, to a sweeping investigation into how Immigration and Customs Enforcement is monitoring American speech online, to the rise of ultra-luxury private aviation clubs, and a writer's descent into energy drink madness. Let's dive in. We start with the big picture. In her From My Desk note, Editor-in-Chief Emma Tucker frames the central tension of the American economy right now. Artificial intelligence is the engine of growth, but it's also a vulnerability. From data centers sprouting across the landscape to skyrocketing stock market wealth concentrated in a handful of megacap tech names, the AI boom is driving U.S. economic expansion. But as the journal explores, that engine could sputter. What happens if the boom fizzles? The exposure is massive, not just in equity markets, but in capital expenditure, energy infrastructure, and labor markets that have reoriented around AI demand. The piece asks the uncomfortable question: how much of today's growth is real, durable productivity, and how much is speculative fervor priced into assets that could correct violently? It's a conversation we'll be having for months, but the journal is putting it on the front burner now. That same From My Desk note flags two other major stories. First, a journal investigation into ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and how the agency is weaponizing social media against its critics. We'll come back to that in depth in a moment, because it's the centerpiece of today's Read It Here First section. And third, a fascinating dispatch from Caltech, where a 4-member fraud squad is vetting every single admitted student's application with forensic intensity, scrutinizing science fair certificate fonts, transcript signatures, even the metadata of digital documents, all to combat what they describe as an explosion of AI-fueled cheating in admissions. It's a setup straight out of a whodunit, and it speaks to a much broader crisis of authenticity in education. Before we go deeper on those, let's touch the headlines moving this morning. President Trump has reportedly discussed ousting Jeanine Pirro, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, after her office contradicted his claim that the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool was damaged by vandals. The detail here is striking: a U.S. Attorney's office pushing back on a presidential narrative, and the president weighing removal in response. It's a flashpoint in the ongoing tension between political leadership and prosecutorial independence. Overseas, Taiwan and the U.S. are opening up about their cooperation, sending an unmistakable signal to Beijing that ties are strong and deepening. The messaging is deliberate: less strategic ambiguity, more strategic clarity. Meanwhile, in Europe, the migrant crisis that unfolded last week in a tiny Spanish exclave, likely Ceuta or Melilla, has become the latest flashpoint, putting Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez at odds with other continental leaders. The politics of migration continue to fracture European unity. In defense tech and Dural Industries, the Palmer Luckey-founded defense contractor is in advanced talks with a Maryland port to build out a production site for its drone boats. This is the maritime face of the autonomous systems revolution: small, cheap, networked surface vessels meant to swarm and saturate. A Maryland foothold would put Anduril on the Chesapeake, close to naval testing ranges and the defense industrial base. And a public health note: 2 people have died in connection with the cyclosporiasis outbreak that has spread across the U.S. this summer, according to Michigan health officials. Cyclospora, a parasite linked to contaminated fresh produce, has been climbing in recent years. The CDC has been tracking multi-state clusters. 2 deaths is a grim milestone for a foodborne illness that's usually self-limiting. Now, markets. Futures are ticking up modestly as of 6:08 a.m. Eastern. S&P 500 futures at 7,636.25, up 0.1%. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures at 53,383, up 0.09. Nasdaq 100 futures leading at 29,071.25, up 0.6%. The tech-heavy index outperforming fits the AI narrative we just discussed. Our live financial coverage runs all day. But the real story in markets this morning isn't the futures, it's a little-used Federal Reserve backstop being put to a use it was never designed for: bankrolling Japan's defense of the yen. The mechanism is the FEMA repo facility, the Foreign and International Monetary Authority's repo facility, created in 2020 to let foreign central banks swap treasuries for dollars without selling them in the open market. Now, the journal reports, it's being used to fund the Bank of Japan's yen-buying interventions. The BOJ sells dollars from its reserves, buys yen to prop up the currency, then replenishes its dollar stash via the FEMA repo, pledging treasuries as collateral. It's a clever workaround. Japan avoids dumping treasuries and spiking U.S. yields, the Fed provides dollar liquidity without printing new money, and the yen gets support. But it blurs the line between swap lines and fiscal support, and it raises questions about moral hazard. If the Fed is implicitly backstopping foreign FX intervention, where does it stop? Aaron Back, writing in the Journal, argues the Bank of Japan needs to raise interest rates to strengthen the yen sustainably. The yen's weakness, it's been trading around 150 to the dollar, is imported inflation for Japan, and the BOJ's ultra-low rates are the root cause. But hiking risks crushing the fragile domestic recovery and blowing out the government's debt service costs on the highest debt-to-GDP ratio in the developed world. The FEMA repo is a bandage, the cure is monetary normalization, and that's a political minefield in Tokyo. Now, the centerpiece investigation, ICE is weaponizing social media against its critics. Hannah Critchfield and Shane Shiflett report that the government has paid millions to private contractors to scour the public internet for threats to ICE's mission. This isn't about terrorists or cartels, it's about Americans posting criticism of ICE online. Agents have tracked down people at their workplaces and on the road, asking them to sign letters acknowledging that their online speech about ICE may be a crime. Let that sink in. Federal agents showing up at your job because you tweeted about an immigration agency, handing you a document that implies your First Amendment activity might be criminal. DHS says the program is about protecting agents and their families from what it calls coordinated campaigns of violence, citing an 8,000% increase in death threats since Trump took office. That number is staggering if true, and it reflects the intense polarization around immigration enforcement. But civil rights lawyers and former DHS staffers tell the Journal the dragnet has swept up people expressing opinions plainly protected by the First Amendment. The contractors are monitoring public posts, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, flagging language deemed threatening, then passing leads to ICE's Homeland Security Investigations Unit. The threshold for threat appears elastic. One person visited by agents had posted a meme. Another had criticized ICE policy in a Facebook group. The letters they're asked to sign are vague, acknowledging their speech may be a crime, a phrasing designed to chill without a specific statute attached. This is a profound shift. ICE, an enforcement agency with arrest authority, is using contractor surveillance to map the social graph of its critics, then sending armed agents to confront them. The chilling effect is the point. Former DHS officials say they've never seen anything like it, a domestic intelligence operation targeting constitutionally protected speech under the guise of threat assessment. The contractors, by the way, are private firms paid millions, operating with limited oversight. The Journal's reporting raises the question, who watches the watchers when the watchers are outsourced? From surveillance to admissions fraud, Caltech's 4-member fraud squad. This is a remarkable story. Every single application to Caltech, thousands a year, goes through this tiny team. They're looking for inconsistencies at a granular level. The font on a science fair certificate doesn't match the issuing organization's standard. A transcript signature is pixel perfect in a way that suggests digital insertion. The metadata of a PDF reveals it was edited after the school supposedly issued it. They're fighting an arms race. Generative AI can now fabricate entire portfolios, research papers, recommendation letters, award certificates, with convincing fidelity. The fraud squad uses forensic document analysis, cross-referencing with issuing institutions, and pattern recognition across applications. They've caught coordinated rings where multiple applicants from the same region submit suspiciously similar achievements. It's not just Caltech, elite universities across the country are quietly building similar capabilities. But Caltech's intensity, a dedicated team for a class of roughly 250, reflects the stakes. A single fraudulent admit displaces a deserving student and corrodes the institution's credibility. The deeper story is what this says about the credential economy. When AI can fake the signals of excellence, the signals lose value. Institutions are forced into an authentication arms race that favors the wealthy who can afford verified, in-person achievements and punishes the strivers who relied on those signals as a ladder. Now, a workplace story that's resonating far beyond HR departments. Ray Smith, a Journal reporter who's spent months covering Gen Z in the labor market, brings us a reporter's notebook on helicopter parents, not in kindergarten, but in the workplace. He caught a live stream of an HR conference where officials vented about parents meddling in their Gen Z children's careers. One HR chief told him an employee's mother called to complain about a performance review her son received. Another said parents are now calling in sick on their adult children's behalf. A career coach described it as co-piloting parents, not just advising, but actively managing their kids' professional lives. Smith talked to HR pros, parents, and young workers. Many HR people frown on it. It undermines autonomy, creates weird power dynamics, and frankly, it's embarrassing for the employee. But some HR leaders, parents themselves, said they understood the impulse. The job market has been brutal for younger Americans. Entry-level roles require experience, wages haven't kept pace with housing, layoffs in tech and media have been relentless. Parents see their kids drowning and grab the oars. Gen Zers now make up nearly one-fifth of the adult workforce. The debate is polarized. Are they coddled and fragile, or are they navigating a genuinely broken system with the only support network they have? Smith's reporting suggests it's both, and that the phenomenon is reshaping how companies think about onboarding, mentorship, and boundaries. Some firms are creating parent liaison roles. Others are setting hard policies, no parent contact, period. The generational friction is becoming a management challenge. Let's shift gears, or rather, altitude. It's easier than ever to fly private without your own jet. The Journal's See the Stories section profiles Bond, a new members club offering access to private jets. Flights don't begin until next year, but they've already signed up 110 members. The amenities are next level: heated stone floors, circadian rhythm-based lighting systems to ease jet lag, bespoke catering, ground transportation coordination. It's not just a charter service, it's a hospitality product wrapped around aviation. Bond is part of a proliferating ecosystem: jet cards, fractional ownership, membership clubs, on-demand charter apps. As the number of multi-millionaires has grown, the Journal cites data showing the U.S. added over 600,000 millionaire households in the last year alone. The suite of services for high-net-worth individuals looking to avoid commercial travel has exploded. The indignities of commercial flying, security lines, delays, middle seats, lost luggage are the selling point. Time, privacy, control. Bond's pitch is that you're not buying a flight, you're buying a seamless day. The price point isn't disclosed in the newsletter, but these clubs typically require six-figure initiation fees and high hourly rates. It's a luxury good, but it's also a productivity tool for the ultra-wealthy. And it's reshaping general aviation: more traffic at secondary airports, new FBOs, fixed-base operators, built to club specs, a whole supply chain catering to this tier. Quick hits on what's happening today. The Senate Judiciary Committee votes on advancing the nomination of Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. Primaries in a handful of states, including Michigan. Watch those results for signals on both parties' bases. The Commerce Department reports the U.S. trade balance: the deficit has been widening, driven by goods imports. Earnings today: SpaceX, McDonald's, Pfizer, Advanced Micro Devices, and Paramount Skydance. SpaceX is private, so its financials are closely guarded. Any leak is news. AMD reports amid the AI chip race. McDonald's and Pfizer are bellwethers for consumer spending and pharma demand. Paramount Skydance, the merged media entity, gives a first look at combined economics. The number today, under $30. That's the price for budget concert tickets offered by stars like Olivia Rodrigo and Coldplay. With fans routinely spending upward of $500 and even going into debt to attend major tours, these initiatives aim to keep live music accessible. The catch: quantities are limited, seat locations are a mystery until show day, and fans must pick up tickets in person at the box office to keep resellers at bay. It's a clever anti-scalping mechanism. Physical pickup with ID verification breaks the bot-driven resale chain. But it also means you have to live near the venue or travel there twice, once for pickup, once for the show. Still, artists are signaling they care about access, not just extraction. It's a small pushback against the financialization of fandom. And finally, a personal experiment gone wrong. Energy drinks are more popular than ever. Walk into any grocery store or gym and you'll find a wall of sleek cans packing the caffeine equivalent of roughly 3 espresso shots, 0 sugar, and sans serif pledges to burn fat and accelerate metabolism. Jamie Waters, a journal writer, spent 1 week trading his daily 3-ice latte habit for cans of what he calls rocket fuel, 16.5 cans total over 7 days. By midweek, he had nearly lost his mind. The piece is funny and harrowing: the jitters, the crashes, the gastrointestinal distress, the weird euphoria followed by the hollowed-out feeling. He describes lying awake at 3 a.m., heart pounding, regretting the 4th can. The caffeine half-life means it stacks; each can adds to the residual load. By day 5 he was vibrating. The article is a cautionary tale wrapped in gonzo journalism. It also raises a real question: these drinks are marketed as wellness, 0 sugar, B vitamins, adaptogens, but they're delivering pharmacological doses of caffeine to people who often don't realize the cumulative load. The FDA considers 400 milligrams a day the safe limit for healthy adults. 3 espresso shots is roughly 200 milligrams. 5 cans puts you at a gram. Waters hits 16.5 cans in a week, that's not far off a gram a day average, with spikes much higher. The energy drink market is booming. Red Bull, Monster, Celsius, Ghost, Alani Nu, and the branding has shifted from extreme to optimization. But the pharmacology hasn't changed. Caffeine is a drug. DOS matters. In Beyond the Newsroom, an opinion piece argues the U.S. Treasury working with Japanese authorities to stabilize the yen is the wrong approach. A better plan would involve less government spending and renewed reforms to spur economic growth in Japan. Structural, not monetary. And Wall Street Journal by side recommends stylist-approved polo shirts that can take you from the office to happy hour to a round of golf. Versatile knits. Worth a look if you're rebuilding a wardrobe. That's your briefing for Tuesday, August 4, 2026. The 10-point is curated and edited by Morgan Smith and Will Horner in collaboration with Editor-in-Chief Emma Tucker. If you're not subscribed, you can sign up at WSJ.com. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with the stories that matter.